The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is recommending the introduction of a progressive personal income tax among measures to help the government shore up revenue and contain expenditures. In a report on the IMF's Executive Board Article 4 consultation done on March 15th, the fund recommended containing current expenditures, notably the wage bill, which it said will help create space for sustainable investment. The IMF called for reducing dependence on CBI revenue, which would require an overhaul of the taxation framework, including reducing tax expenditures, streamlining VAT, reforming property taxes, and introducing a progressive personal income tax. However, the IMF Executive Board directors took note of the government's stance to phase out electricity price subsidies and other crisis-era support measures. Containing current expenditures, notably the wage bill, will help create space for sustainable investment, the IMF said in its report. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund spoke in positive terms of the country's economy. St. Kitts and Nevis' economic growth rebounded strongly in 2022, despite global headwinds, the IMF said. GDP is estimated to have grown by 9% in 2022 after contracting 14.5% in 2020 and 0.9% in 2021. The lifting of all COVID-related travel restrictions in August 2022 sparked a strong rebound in the tourism sector and across the economy. The IMF noted the authority's proactive policy response, facilitated by the fiscal buffers accumulated from a decade of prudent fiscal policy, helped shelter domestic prices from high global energy and food prices. These measures nonetheless took a heavy toll on fiscal accounts in 2022. The primary balance ex-CBI revenue and land buybacks, an indicator of the underlying fiscal stance, deteriorated to a deficit of 17% of GDP versus 15% in 2021. Large CBI inflows in 2022 helped finance this expansion, keeping public debt below the ECCU regional target of 60% of GDP. Return to pre-pandemic activity level is expected by the end of 2024, the IMF predicted, and beyond that, growth should converge toward its medium-term path. The budget is expected to be broadly balanced through 2025 and then go into deficits predicated on current policies. To read a summary of the latest report from the IMF, visit www.sknewsline.com or www.sknis.kn. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
After a citizen questioned the perceived blocking of a poverty alleviation program or PAP application submitted on behalf of an autistic individual with claims that the application was incomplete, the public was informed that applications with incomplete information would go through processing. Junior Minister Senator Iselene Phillip said persons with incomplete applications should contact social services to provide the needed information. But the aggrieved individual told SKN Newsline that the application made on behalf of the autistic person was complete, including bank information account numbers. The minister did not address this aspect but requested that persons with applications said to be incomplete should contact social services.
We firstly was prioritizing those who submitted a completed application within the categories that have been publicized in terms of prioritizing persons with disabilities, the elderly, the unemployed with children, and employed with children. So in relation to the question that was asked, we are at this time trying to facilitate those and look into those who would have perhaps submitted an application that was incomplete. Because from the initial round of considerations, we prioritize those who submitted a complete application so that they can be considered. So for the individual, I would recommend that they contact social services, share their name and information, because now we are trying to identify and go through the applications of those who did not complete their application to give them an opportunity to complete those applications so that we can consider them for the second cycle of payments. I'd like to remind the public that as we continue to work on upgrading the program and putting in some systems to institute the program to provide need to the most vulnerable, that we are transitioning the program, and part of that transition includes a condition where it is a short-term cash transfer social assistance, so persons with the understanding that you benefit from the program for 6 months initially before you are expected to graduate off of the program if you no longer have the dire need in comparison to other persons.
According to the Labour policy on the program, the PAP is being redesigned to ensure that persons who can will be graduated from the program after 6 months in order to achieve sustainability of the program. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Want to buy some fresh fruits, vegetables, or ground provision, but don't have the time to go to the market or even to find parking? Look no further. Green Market and Delivery is your solution. Green Market and Delivery is an e-commerce store that sells and delivers local produce to customers in St. Kitts and Nevis. Anything you purchase, you can get fresh from the market and delivered directly to your door. Log on to www.greenmarketskn.com. Click on the e-store link, choose your items, and shop away. We have a wide array of products from fruits, vegetables, local products, spices and seasonings, and much more. Save time and energy. Shop on greenmarketskn.com, your one-stop shop for fresh local produce.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
There may be cases of genuine marriages that are mixed with cases of fake marriages or marriages of convenience, and it's causing some degree of concern for well-meaning applicants for St. Kitts and Nevis residency and citizenship. SKN Newsline was made aware of the stress that some couples are experiencing because they have been lumped in with all suspected marriages of convenience during a period that led up to the general elections of 2022. The Prime Minister believes that many were sham marriages with political overtones, prompting him to open an investigation. Now some applicants have said they have done nothing wrong but follow the rules. Now they want to know when the investigation will end so they can move on with their lives. Prime Minister Drew, the Minister of National Security, gave SKN Newsline an update on the situation just after his 30th March press conference.
With respect to the marriages, we are now completing the investigation. Those persons who have been inconvenienced, their bank resolved very soon. And so we want to make sure that those who follow the law are punished. But considering what took place with hundreds and hundreds of suspected food managers, we have to take these measures in order to protect the holy patrimony, the institution of marriage, and to protect our citizenship, and to make sure that we are being abused, misused. And so therefore, I want to finally come back that we are competent and those of us who are waiting for
It is the first time that such an investigation has been conducted in the Federation on perceived marriages of convenience. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Eric Evelyn, Minister of Agriculture in the Nevis Island Administration, says it is because of the Department of Agriculture's dedication to agriculture why the 29th Annual Agricultural Exposition, formerly known as the Agriculture Open Day, now rebranded Agri Expo, is being held with the theme Together for Food Sovereignty, Agri Expo 2023. Mr. Evelyn, who is also the Deputy Premier of Nevis, was at the time delivering an address to signal the start of the two-day Agri Expo 2023 at the El Comido T. Willett Park on March 30th. He pointed to the strides made in the agriculture sector on Nevis over the years.
And so I am very proud of the work that has been done over the years, and in particular the preparation for this spectacle for the Agri Expo 2023. I want to especially commend the team at the Ministry and Department of Agriculture, our PS, Mr. Sargent, our Director, Mr. Elliott, and his entire team at the Department of Agriculture, our coordinator, Mr. Reed, and his deputy, Mr. Corey Maynard, who actually experienced in the Open Day and been a part of the Open Day for the first time, and who have dived right in and has immersed himself in all of the activities and all of the preparations for Open Day for Agri Expo 2023. But of course, this journey for the past years, it has not been on our own. Because in the Ministry and Department of Agriculture, we believe in partnerships. We believe in striking and forging partnerships. And we have had partnerships with our allied agencies over the years who have been extremely good to us. I speak of the Embassy of the Republic of China on Taiwan. I speak of CARDI. I speak of AICA. I speak of the other government departments. And we want to thank you for that partnership over the years.
The minister noted that in keeping with the theme of the exposition, they have gone beyond what obtained before the idea of food security. He also thanked their allied agencies, whom he said have been a part of the island's journey in agriculture. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Want to buy some fresh fruits, vegetables, or ground provision, but don't have the time to go to the market or even to find parking? Look no further. Green Market and Delivery is your solution. Green Market and Delivery is an e-commerce store that sells and delivers local produce to customers in St. Kitts and Nevis. Anything you purchase, you can get fresh from the market and delivered directly to your door. Log on to www.greenmarketskn.com. Click on the e-store link, choose your items, and shop away. We have a wide array of products from fruits, vegetables, local products, spices and seasonings, and much more. Save time and energy. Shop on greenmarketskn.com, your one-stop shop for fresh local produce.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
14 West Africans and 2 Antiguans and Barbudans who were rescued early Tuesday morning are being processed by the authorities in St. Kitts and Nevis. I asked Prime Minister Brown about the coordination with Kittitian officials.
I don't want to preempt my colleagues in St. Kitts and Nevis, but we have already signaled that we are willing to accommodate them, and if we have to assist with the burial as well, those who pass, said we'll do so. And again, let me express my condolences to the family members of the bereaved in this very unfortunate tragedy.
He says Antigua and Barbuda has been making several steps over the past 5 years to deepen linkages with the African continent, and says the air bridge was one part of this effort. The Prime Minister says the aim was to get Air Peace to fly here with charter services, but the requisite air services agreement was not ready, which resulted in Air Peace going to Jamaica instead.
Last August, we had a partnership with Marvelous Mike, along with Euro-Atlantic, to lease a plane and to establish Antigua Airways. Again, with the noble intention of establishing this air link between Africa and the Caribbean to ensure that there's greater people-to-people exchanges, more investments, more trade, especially tourism trade. You recall that we had the inaugural flight on November 1st, which we were all justifiably proud when that plane landed here. Practically all of the individuals who came on that flight returned home.
He says subsequently a challenge arose when the opportunity was exploited by some.
This is where we now have a problem in the sense that when they came here initially, even though we never anticipated that they will come here to stay, they came here ostensibly as tourists. Well, they did indicate that they came here as tourists, so no one can really say that they were trafficked or they were smuggled, because they entered the nation, they entered the country legally. So they came here as tourists, but evidently had ulterior motives. It was, let's say, a destination which was not the final destination.
The Prime Minister provides further details on the genesis of the challenge now being experienced.
We had a situation that between the 23rd of December and about the 29th of December, we had 3 additional flights. Another one with Antigua Airways and another 2 with an opportunistic operator that presented to the regulators here that they were part of the Antigua Airways setup, and they brought in these individuals, including a number of Cameroonians who were literally running from the instability in Cameroon. And it was a very short period of time for us to establish really what was happening. And we recognized, though, that they were coming here to stay and they were running from persecution in Cameroon. We suspended the charter flights with Antigua Airways and literally blocked the loophole that was exploited by another carrier. So since then, there has not been any other flights.
Prime Minister Brown insists the government has taken a noble position in its treatment of the migrants.
We have said to them, those who wanted to leave, that we could arrange a special charter. In fact, Antigua Airways would have had 2 subsequent flights and had to return empty because they refused to go back home. Now, we have certain international obligations, and there's no way that we could have forcefully repatriated them without, international condemnation. So we acted, I would say, admirably and engaged them, embraced them. And unfortunately, our political opponents are very hostile to them. I don't know if they now feel unwelcome or if they're just determined that they want to go elsewhere. They probably want to get to the United States. But whatever the motivation may have been, I think it's extremely unfortunate that, a number of them ended up on this small boat, over 30 of them. And as a consequence, they've suffered this tragic experience.
He says despite the unforeseen turn of events, the government will continue to play its part toward the resolution of this issue. He also notes the broader vision of establishing links with the African continent remains.
Many of them too would have sent words of commendations to myself and my government for the hospitality that we've extended to them, that with the type of humanity which we have treated them. And again, I know opposition parties will always be opposition parties, but I don't see the need for the type of hostility, the political spins, and the bluster about blood and hands and all kind of foolishness. That's just foolish talk. And it's a serious issue involving people, real people, human beings. And let us just assimilate them the best way we can. Those who want to go back home, we'll facilitate them.
After 19 years, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has emerged victorious in the multi-million-dollar civil asset forfeiture claim in Miami linked to the construction of the Piarco Airport Terminal building. The jury concluded that businessman Steve Ferguson, former UNC Minister Brian Quaitung, and U.S. businessman Raul Gutierrez, Jr. were liable for over $30 million in damages suffered by TNT. The state is also entitled to prejudgment interest of at least $25 million. The final judgment will be in excess of $100 million, or approximately 700 million TT dollars. Speaking to TTT News, corporate representative, former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi, said the ruling was a win for the citizens of TNT.
After 19 years of litigation in the Miami courts, the people of Trinidad and Tobago are the beneficiaries of approximately 700 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars. The state is extremely grateful that the due process in the U.S. courts has produced a judgment via a jury which sat before a judge, and the state's obligation at this point is to pursue the enforcement of the judgment, the collection of interest, and the collection of costs.
The verdict means that this country will get triple the damages it sought automatically under the U.S. Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations RICO law. Mr. Al-Rawi said the state looks forward to reporting on the matter in due course.
Our attorneys in the United States are a firm by the name of White and Case, and they are very competent attorneys. They're very well-known international attorneys, and they will be taking the steps that are necessary to produce the benefit for the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
After more than a week of intense speculation and anticipation, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg leaves his office in New York, having just made history. Minutes later, a spokesperson confirmed that a grand jury Bragg convened had voted to indict former President Donald Trump over alleged hush money to a former adult film star, and that prosecutors were working out the arrangements with Trump's lawyers for the former president to turn himself in to authorities. It wasn't long before a typically combative Trump responded through a post on social media. Trump calling the indictment an attack on our country, the likes of which has never been seen before. Stormy Daniels and her alleged sexual encounter with Donald Trump is at the center of the criminal case against the former president, after she threatened to go public about the affair in the final days of Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Trump's then fixer, Michael Cohen, paid her $130,000 to keep quiet. Cohen, who testified before the grand jury, has said he made the payments at Trump's direction and in 2018 pleaded guilty to violating campaign finance laws.
It's not revenge, right? What this is about accountability. I don't want to see anyone, including Donald Trump, indicted, prosecuted, convicted, incarcerated, simply because I fundamentally disagree with them. This is all about accountability. He needs to be held accountable for his dirty deeds.
Trump has always denied the affair and also initially denied any knowledge of the payment, but now says it took place as a legitimate legal expense.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels?
Under New York law, it is the falsification of business records, not the payment itself, that would be Trump's crime, a misdemeanor. And only if prosecutors can prove he made the payment and falsified records specifically to hide the affair from voters or the IRS would it be a felony or a more serious crime that could come with jail time.
The falsification of records for the purpose of committing tax evasion would be the additional specific crime to elevate falsification of business records from a misdemeanor to a felony.
The exact charges against Donald Trump in the indictment are still under seal and have not made public. It's expected early next week Trump will arrive here in New York to turn himself in to authorities. He'll then face a judge and then be released. Trump is the first current or former president of the United States to ever face criminal charges. Gabriel Elizondo, Al Jazeera, New York.
Rushing to the scene of the crash on Wednesday night, but finding only wreckage and no survivors. 9 service members killed during what was supposed to be a routine training mission.
This was a training progression, and specifically they were flying a multi-ship formation, 2 ships under night vision goggles at night.
The 2 Blackhawks crashed after witnesses say they were flying unusually low to the trees.
2 helicopters just disappeared out of the sky, and there was a large flash. And we ran outside, and we started seeing another helicopter that circled that area where I thought the impact was for probably 30 minutes. And then we saw ambulances and sirens.
The U.S. military says these helicopters are equipped with a kind of black box, so they are hopeful that they will soon know what led to the crash. According to Pentagon statistics, the Army loses an average of 5 soldiers every year to aviation accidents. The Pentagon says it is too early to tell if this signals a bigger problem with the Black Hawk.
We need to allow time for this investigation. But for example, anytime there is the potential for a fleet of aircraft to have some type of systemic issue, then certainly, again, those fleets can be stood down. You've seen us do that with other types of aircraft in the past. Again, I'm not aware of anything like that right now for the Black Hawk. We need to allow time for the investigation to run its course.
The Army now trying to figure out how a routine training flight turned deadly for 9 of their own. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
The progress by Charles and Joseph followed their vital roles in the Windies 2-1 series win against South Africa. CMC reports that Charles, the player of the series, leapt an incredible 92 places, the 17th in the batting. The enormous movement was mainly due to his pugnacious and record-breaking 118 off a mere 46 balls in the second T20 International. The St. Lucian is one of 3 West Indian batsmen in the top 20. Brandon King is currently 19th, and Nicholas Puran is now ranked 20th. Joseph improved 18 places to the 33rd in the bowling ratings after he snared a career-best 5 for 40 in the 3rd encounter. No West Indian bowler has cracked the top 20 in the format. Left-arm spinner Akeel Hossain is the highest at 21st, after falling 5 places during the series. Jack Matthew, ABS Sports.
TNT just missed out on one of 12 automatic qualification spots after a draw in a must-win match against eventual Group C winners Nicaragua in Bacalet on Monday. The result meant that TNT finished second, 1 point behind Los Pinoleros with 13, and will now seek a 12th appearance at the tournament since 1967 through the preliminary route. The senior men are one of 6 teams seeded on one side of the draw alongside Martinique, Curaçao, French Guiana, Suriname and Guyana. The 6 lowest-ranked teams in the draw, Guadeloupe, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, Grenada, Puerto Rico and St. Martin, are in Pot 1. Friday's draw will include 3 teams with TNT coaches pulling the strings. Angus Eve coaches the homeland, Jamal Shabazz continues to guide Guyana, and Stern John's rising St. Lucia team will look to follow their League B promotion with more overachievement. Eve and Shabazz may reignite their rivalry in round 2 of the qualifying bracket should they both successfully advance from round 1, scheduled for June 16th and 17th. The Gold Cup's 17th edition is scheduled to run between June and July 16th, 2023. Jovan Ravello, TTT Sport.
Welcome to the SKN Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boole. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.